All right, good evening or good morning, wherever you are from, Mech Warriors. I am Bowser, casting this last and final match of the night, KDCM versus 228 Reapers. And with me tonight, I am joined by the Revan27. Hello.
Hello. Good to be here. Um, yeah, interesting you mentioned it could be in the morning. I believe 228 is majority Asia Pacific, or at least enough Asia Pacific um to warrant, an Asia Pacific time zone designation. So a lot of these guys, this is Sunday morning for them. And I always am curious how much of a role that plays in, the level of play that those guys are able to put out on the field. And I'm not trying to say anything one way or another, but I know for me personally, it would be hard if I had to get up at, 7 or 8 or even like if it's before lunchtime, man, don't expect my best play. So, um, yeah, I do always feel like there's a little bit of a disadvantage for the Asia Pacific guys.
Absolutely, they're at such an awkward time, pretty much always. So
Um, Yeah, I mean it's bad. Now they do get the advantage against European time zone teams. Like I having not experienced Asia Pacific versus North American, I can't say Europeans have it worse necessarily against the AP guys than the AP guys do have against the NA guys, but it's very bad. The EU versus AP, it's like 7 or 8 a.m. for most of those guys, unless they're like Russia. But it's technically possible, and it's the only time it's technically possible. But luckily for KDCM, they don't have to worry about that. I think this is going to be a really has the potential to be a really exciting match. We've seen KDCM this tournament not have their strongest performance last week. We saw 228R basically have to they played the very last match of Q. They qualified into this tournament on the very last match, at 4 a.m. or 3:50 a.m. Final night of Q. They had a good performance last week. Were able to win their invitation or their seeding matches to get all the way up to the 9 seed after the tie. There was a three-way tie for 9, but we'll see what they're able to put out there today. I have my sources and my information about some of these teams and the level of commitment that they choose to do, but 228R is on the lower end of the bell curve when you talk about practicing and that kind of stuff. They're not quite Blob, but hey, Blob went out and smoked 1FR today, so practice is practice, but um hard to compensate for just pure skill.
absolutely, well put. Um, as these teams come into the lobby here, we're gonna transition to the map bans. I will call map ban start. So we transition to the map ban. All right, so KDCM gets first map ban here. What do you think they're gonna go for? Or pick? I'm sorry, not ban, pick. What do you think they're gonna pick here?
KDCM, you would traditionally associate KDCM with Brawl. I know in Q they played a lot of Control. Last week it was all Brawl. Now I think last week I talked a little bit about the preparation. I didn't feel KDCM was very prepared last week for their match against Fjord. I think their preparation was that they could go in and brawl Fjord and then just win on skill. Like they just thought Fjord would brawl, so if they just brought brawl, they could go in and with equal or similar mechs and skills, they would win on brawl. Well, Reapers actually has the first pick. I thought it was KDCM. Apologies, I got confused there. They picked Viridian. That's not what I would have assumed. I think Reapers has been, I think, pretty good on Frozen.
So
Could be wrong on that.
KDCM has picked Viridian first. Let's
Oh
Reapers.
no, it is KDCM. It
Yeah,
is
yeah,
KDCM.
yeah. It's
I'm
KDC.
confused.
Yeah, yeah. It's KDCM's
That's
first pick.
KDCM.
Yeah.
I thought that was gonna be Terra from them. I don't remember what they picked last week though. To be fair.
Well,
Um.
I think we've seen KDCM is just very super hard into pushing, right? And that's just
Yeah.
stereotypical KDCM. So we do see 228 picking Frozen City. I think that's actually a well-rounded map pick. We discussed a little bit earlier in the night. Frozen is a pretty holistic map, honestly. We saw Fjord and we saw Esrot both try that sort of push. Fjord actually did it pretty well against Revenants earlier in the night. S-Run not as well, but they still tried it and got some success out of it. So I would say, for instance, Pretty Hillstick. And as I'm babbling here, the rest of the map ends are done. So KDCM does pick Bearclaw, and the Reapers will pick Terra, and then the decider will be HBG. So now they're picking sides. So there we go. Reapers is team 1. We see KDCM at team 2.
KDCM full pushed on Viridian last week. It wasn't super successful for them. I mean, they were able to get, I think it was 5-8 loss. I was surprised they picked that first, but yeah, Frozen for Reapers didn't surprise me. I really think Terra is a brawl map. I know the Skyring push or Skyring setup really dictates teams not wanting to pick it off the bat, as KDCM chooses, or Reapers chooses team 1 on Bearclaw. Makes sense. KDCM chose team 1 on Frozen, so we've got a lot of team switching right now. Yeah. Okay. Well, KDCM chooses team 2 on Terra.
Reapers choosing 1 on Bearclaw. That's actually very interesting. So, as we've covered a little bit earlier in the night, Team 2 is the stronger side on Bearclaw for a much more traditional control and hold strategy, because Theta is closer to the Team 2 spawns than it is the Team 1 spawns. In addition, you have that sort of G6 rock that overlooks Theta. You can just put 1 mech there and get free denies and Team 1 trying to do anything. And we've seen it as these matches have played today. Everyone who's picked Team 2 on Bearclaw has gotten Theta. So it is interesting to see that Reapers has not done that. So we're gonna go back.
I think there's 2 things in play there. Either one, they just expect a push, and they either think that maybe the team 1 side has some kind of better push defense angle. I wouldn't really know about that. The other thing is, I don't know if 228 Reapers has done enough research onto these maps to even know about the side advantage on Bearclaw. I'm not saying, no disrespect to their players, but Bearclaw is in the map pool for the first time this year. When you're playing it in queue, you don't get to pick side.
Right.
And so, I don't know if they're there's always a chance that a team hasn't thought that far into it on which side is actually a preference. When Bearclaw is a mostly symmetrical map, obviously Theta is a difference, and then the rock formation is a difference, and I think there is a clear advantage to the Team 2 side. But if you have played it in queue and not really noticed a noticeable difference in your results, your match results based on side, maybe you just, when you do your scrims, you just kind of you get whatever side you get. You don't really see a big difference, and you don't think to do that much research into, hey, what side gives me a slight edge. Or maybe Reapers has got something planned we don't know.
I would say if they're picking what is traditionally the worst side on Bearclaw, then I would say they definitely have something they want to plan and execute from that side. And so maybe that could be one way, right? That could be one thing. The other thing they could be thinking about is KDCM is, again, they're traditionally a very hard brawl team. And I think if you're 228 Reapers, if you see KDCM bring in trade, you're pretty well set up to... Actually, the first map is Viridian.
Yeah, the first map is Viridian. We're gonna talk about that for a second. There is an angle here where Reapers potentially wants to give KDCM the good trade side in order to prompt potentially a trade strategy, if they feel like they're going to be better against a trade strategy than a brawl. That would be pretty 5-head. That would be thinking that this may be at a level higher than I have ever as a player. I don't think I've ever wanted to give my enemy an advantage just because I think that prompts a play style that I would prefer to face, but it's possible.
So let's switch to Viridian for a minute, because that is the first map here. So we're looking at 228 sitting on team 1. So we have traditionally seen... I actually feel like I think it's a split at this point. I would have said that team 2 was traditionally the harder pushing side, but I think we've seen just as much pushing from team 1 as team 2 at this point in time. I would favor team 1 personally for a receive. I think there's a lot more open ground that can be crossfired from a lot more random angles. And so I think the team 1 pick is strong from 228. We do see they are locking up here, and they have 4 in Charlie and a 2 Alpha Bravo split. So maybe more of a more holistic approach where they're just going to wait to receive KDCM's push, which I think is smart if you're fighting an opponent like KDCM. So at this point, KDCM's getting maybe what some would consider the better side for trading at this point. So if you're KDCM, maybe you're thinking we got to mix it up a little bit. We got to try to abuse some of our really strong trading spots. Again, we can kind of go over it. We have a little bit like there. We have a little bit something like that. We have a little bit something even like that that gets really good lines down the theta lane, something like that. And of course, let's get KDCM rolling here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I do not have the map room link.
1 second, I'll get that for you.
But so if you guys want to look at the lines that Bowser's drawn up, hey, check out MWO Leagues 1. This is the secondary cast for a reason. But we are getting really close to a full green board, although Jay has not readied up. I honestly, I think this is a spot where you look at green board from everybody but the team leader. Is this talking strategy here? This isn't sorting out mech choices.
For sure, absolutely.
Which means that, hey, maybe KDCM has a strategy. I know that's bad, but maybe it's not just full push.
I would like to think they have some strong mid-range trader players on their team. So I would like to see them use some of that power to play more of a hold, because I think 228 is very... I think most people who fight KDCM, for example, we saw Fjord last week. I believe it was it Focus? I think it was Focus? Or was it Visigoth? I think it might have been Visigoth last week who fought KDCM. And they were ready for the hard pushes. Every single game from KDCM. They were absolutely ready, and you saw it showed. We're going to imagine 228 is doing something similar, so I'd like to think it's on the onus of KDCM to try and mix it up in this
KDCM
tournament.
has locked. So KDCM has locked here for game 1. So we are going to get ready to go ahead and launch here.
We will
KDCM, they full pushed Fjord last time and were able to get it into a really, you look at 3-0 last week against Fjord. They were the predominant favorites in the match based on predictions, so really disappointing result, and people are low on this team right now. I mean, the predictions are in favor of 228 Reapers. 228 Reapers, KDCM, they played the same queue. The KDCM finished, what, 7th? 6th? No, 7th. They finished 7th. 228 finished, tied for 9th. But really, they really got in the last minute. So you would think, hey, KDCM has the advantage here. But right now, people are not necessarily viewing it that way. And I think part of that was what we saw last week. But that was a close game on Terra and Viridian. And I don't think you necessarily can just write off KDCM's chances not only to win this match, but even to potentially win a rematch against Fjord. I think they would have a very competitive game again if they were to play that team again. So, we'll see. We'll see what KDCM can give us tonight. But
so really quick here, as we're getting into this match, let's look at some of these mechs. So we're going to look at 228's mechs first. So they have an Executioner M, Mistlings G, Crusader 6T, the Jenner 2C2, with the heavy mediums. I believe that one is the Stone Rhino 1, the Viper F, Flea 19, and a Direwolf Prime. Very interesting.
So KDCM is running a Thunderbolt longbow. Just right off the bat, Thunderbolt longbow. They've got a spider and a Vulcan that is going to go, or spider and a Shadowcat. Pretty standard Mishapishu and Vulcan builds. But they've got a pretty standard Stone Rhino 1. They've got a Marauder with, 2 large pulse, 3 heavy large on the Marauder too. Jormungandr. Pretty standard heavy machine gun Viper. Eats only heads in it. Narc. Yeah, Narc. 2 ERPPC, 1 Ultra AC 10. So we've got our Narc is on Teos in the Hellfire. So that's the mech to watch here.
So looking at the 228 side, we've got Jiffin and an AC-10 Rhino with 3 plasmas. Actually pretty hard-hitting build. We have Snack on KDCM, of course, in the same. As you say, each only heads HMGs. That Thunderbolt Lombo is going to be a big wild card here for KDCM with that Narc coming out of Teos's Hellfire with Ultra 10s and PPCs. Interesting build on that Hellfire, though. I don't really like to see that more than a more traditional laser setup, but it could still work really well for them. Sir Epic Poner, AP Goss, Micro Lasers, and the Mistlinks. Interesting AP Goss focus. We haven't really seen that many from Mistlinks. They're already fighting for Theta, though. As we're looking at the builds here, it is in KDCM's favor. Fireon taking a bit of damage in that right torso into Gender CC2 with the heavy mediums. Gladisaur with the binaries and smalls in the Crusader. Yorshka with the quaddy or large XEM. And we're going to see Lava Daishi with that prime set of 8 on those, or maybe not set of 8, but with the dual Goss 5-year larges.
Ooh, back shot on Poner. He's one hit in that back. Fire Ant's torso, but in the Jenner, that's not always legs. Sometimes that's torso. I'll say, for KDCM, I don't know if I like my Narc mech being my Hellfire, and I would have considered trying to get even 2 Narc mechs on the field if you're necessarily just putting all of this on the Thunderbolt with the Thunderbolt longbow.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you could definitely maybe, like, on them, they don't have a lot of choices, but the Shadowcat would be a strong one, as maybe replacing the Vulcan with a mech with a Narc as well could be strong as well.
Yeah, that's where I would have gone with, is the Vulcan, but Jay, I think, really likes the Vulcan. I think he's good in it, and, you know, you have that, that Hellfire, but with the way Viridian plays, you know, this Hellfire is all the way out in the wing, and I think he just got maybe headshotted. Not a lot of percentage loss. No, not headshotted, but loses a lot of coloration.
So at this point, 228 has actually neutralized the Theta Cap from KDCM. I'm not sure how they let that Theta Cap go down, but that's not good if you're KDCM playing for time, playing slow with that longbow. You're kind of looking to either receive a push, but the push isn't going to come from 228. They're just going to try and wrest Theta away, which I think is the play. Fire Ant's looking at grabbing Theta here. He might be able to get it. I don't know if Jay can get the deny with the projectiles on that Vulcan. He may be able to, might not be able to. Fire Ant's kind of holding the rock. We see KDCM is taking a bunch of ground, though, in the middle of the map. They've pushed up that Lomba. They pushed up that Stone Rhino, the Shadowcat, and the Viper, and, of course, the Hellfire.
I really don't like the Hellfire being the Narc mech, because it's all the way stranded out on the far right side of this formation. If you had a Narc mech on Theta that could, like, Narc this Jenner, you know, that's would be really useful, because this Thunderbolt or this longbow is standing around doing nothing, because you just do not get it. You're not getting arcs out.
In fairness, though, I think he doesn't want to. They don't want to reveal the fact that the longbow is too early. I think they're hoping that 228 is wanting to push.
Nothing.
He did just shoot, so that, maybe if he shot, then yeah, the missile lock, the warning might not have been visible, but the missile lock might have been. Because obviously when you're rained on by missiles, it does tell you you're getting fired upon. Yorshka, though, in a very commanding spot with an Executioner. Not a spot we've seen teams play very much. It's a very strong spot from the south side.
Fire Ants on Theta, and I don't think the Marauders...
The Marauder does. He does get the scrape. Okay. He does get the deny. Very good. The Vulcan's also getting damage on the Fire Ant. He's taking a lot of damage here on this Jenner.
Type spot for Fire Ant if he can't get this. The Marauder jumped down.
He is slow ticking. At this point, Theta's just a couple ticks from getting capped. There it is. So that is the 3 cap in favor of 228. So now KDCM has to make a move. I don't know if that's a move they want to make with that Lombo. At this point, 228 is certainly aware that the Lombo is missiles. So they realize, let's just hold back. Let's just keep this Stone Rhino, this Dire Wolf, Jiffy, and Lava Daishi up here in these high ground positions. Let's keep our Executioner in the back. We have a good crossfire. KDCM's not going to out-trade us with that longbow. We just need to play patient and make them come to us.
Theos is showing a lot of damage in the Void. Other than that, KDCM's pretty healthy. You look at some of those lights.
So real quickly, KDCM is pushing right now through the open. Teos is getting absolutely railed in that Hellfire. He's going to get taken out very soon. Lava Daishi and Jiffy having excellent commanding positions on this push. York's going to have a crossfire very shortly. But KDCM's not taking a ton of damage other than Teos's Hellfire, really.
And they've backed off Jiffy. Is he hot? I don't know.
There's a problem, though. Each Only Heads has dived into Lava Daishi, Jiffy, and Zelk at the same time. I don't know what he's hoping to accomplish here. He is taking Lava Daishi guns out of the fight. Each Only Heads is going to survive without his, or without his legs being taken out. He is still Oh, he does go down from Gladisaur in a great ambush position, that Crusader, who I believe is halved. He just shut down.
Great distraction, but no converting. I mean, that thing went down for 228 while their Stone Rhino and their Direwolf were distracted. You know, they did get Epsilon. You know, you get the Epsilon point, but both teams showing a lot of damage. Definitely hard to say. Call Me Gil goes down, though, so kill lead definitely in favor of
And that
228R.
is their missile gimmick taken out with that longbow. You don't want to lose that mech that early. Very unfortunate. Teos does go down in the void. Snack is going to be next, getting absolutely drilled in this like three-way crossfire, basically. Not long for this world. He will be down very shortly. Can they kill Lava Daishi and Jiffy, though? I don't know if they can. Jormungandr's next. There goes Jormungandr. So at this point, it's just the lights for KDCM.
Just the lights, and, you know, you only have one mech get to the actual assaults here. And, you know, that Viper eats only heads is able to leg. And you know, you even have a cord leg on the Direwolf, but no kill. It's a turret mech. Losing one leg is not really going to affect it. It's just going to keep standing in the same place it was standing before.
He did a good job, but it was an overextension, I would say. Like, they do get Sturbeck Pwn in the misslings. That's good. Now, if they can convert maybe Zelk, Jiffy, and Lava Daishi, they might be able to get something, because caps are pretty close right now.
Gladisaur is in a buy. This could be XL for Gladisaur.
So Logic Prime in the Shadowcat does go down, getting crossfired. Jay goes down, also getting crossfired. At that point, it's just going to be Zelnega in that mislinks, who is legged.
Yeah. I mean, Caps flips back to 228R. Mislinks is like, this is cleanup.
Can he take anybody with him?
Closer match than the scoreboard will say. 27% for Zelk, 32 for Lavadashi. Gladisaur lost both arms in the Crusader. I mean, Jiffy's hurt. Yeah, Yorshka's got some health, but KDCM had some opportunities if they could have got some mechs off the field a little faster.
I would say the biggest issue there was that Lombo got ganked. The Lombo didn't have any support. They pushed it like a normal mech. It was just caught in the open and got ganked. That Lombo could have outputted a serious amount of damage on that push, but as we look at the scoreboard here, it got 288 only. That's not what you want to see when you're bringing that sort of missile mech.
Indirect fire, you know, you can cut that damage number in half, really, about how much of that's really effective. Yeah, the Thunderbolts are a little bit better than traditional LRMs, but is what it is. Well, that will be a win for 228 Reapers, so, you know, we're gonna go and go to the next map. You know, you pick Viridian first, KDCM does. Usually you like to try to lead with your strongest map. I know that's not everybody's strategy. But usually you'd like to lead with your strongest map. So KDCM in a bit of a rough spot potentially here going to Frozen. They, you know, you can find yourself in a whole 0-2 real quick in this spot. We are swapping teams here.
It has already been done. Good to go. KDCM is team 1. So let's look at the map shot a little bit and talk a little bit about Frozen City as we wait for these teams to ready up here. So do you have that map strip link going yet?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now, but you can go ahead and start talking about it. I just got to get it plugged into the stream.
So KDCM is on the team 1 side. Interestingly, they might be trying to... What's the word I'm looking for? They might be trying sort of more what they tried last match, I think, sitting on team 1. We haven't seen very many team 2 pushes, if at all, in this series yet. Okay, or team 1 pushes, sorry. We haven't seen many team 1 to team 2 side pushes in this series yet. So I like to think they're going to play it pretty traditional, pretty standard, but of course, you know, they are down a match, as you said, and they are clearly bringing their A game. I like the Lombo pick. I like the Narc on the Hellfire. That's strong stuff. We haven't seen anything like that this entire tournament. Even if the execution wasn't great, it shows that they're here and they have stuff ready to pull out of the back pocket.
Yeah. Okay. So I just realized that we've been using the same map room I used in the last cast, and I have actually had this map room up the whole time. So that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we're looking at Frozen City here. Who's team one?
We have
It's
KDCM on team
KDCM.
one.
KDCM on team one. They got to pick sides. You know, they picked team one. D5. I think this should be. I doubt we'll see Brawl from KDCM here. I know they love it, but um, you know, team one, you got D5. You've got a good opportunity to cap data at the beginning. Hold caps. You can get over to Kappa if you need to get over to Kappa. You can be sticky on Epsilon if you need to be sticky on Epsilon. There's a lot of ways to play it from a control cap side. There's not a lot of great brawl angles. If you wanted to brawl, you would have chose team two. Even though I feel like brawl is really not strong on Frozen.
So I view it a little bit differently. I think on Kappa Sigma side, you absolutely can see a team run just, for example, Charlie Bravo, you run all the way across just like that, super fast, and you just play around this side of the map. Theta control is, of course, an issue, but theoretically on Team 1, you have a pretty easy time getting Theta with a fast mech, and if you have enough stuff around, you can deny it pretty easily. Just set up an
Yeah,
example
I
here.
mean,
Maybe like a guy there or something like that. Wrong color. Maybe like one assault there, like an XE or something that can move pretty fast. You have like that, and you just kind of flip the map on them. You just reverse the script. Rather than top down, you play left right.
I agree. I think you can play top down here. You can play right to left. You can play left to right. That's the versatility that Team One side really gives you. I think KDCM looks to play 4-cap here. I feel like there's a lot of angles to try to get 4-caps at least temporarily from Team One. If you can get Theta, you know, you have Epsilon, you can get Kappa. It's hard for Team Two to hold Kappa with their assaults. So, you know, if you can kind of force a light brawl from Team One side, there's lots of angles there. When I say I don't think KDCM is going to full brawl, part of the advantage that Team Two has is that Team One is so strong from trade almost that you kind of know where they're going to set up. And you know the angles that they'll move to. You know, they'll cross the river. Like, you can kind of predict what the enemy's going to do from Team Two side. And so we have seen some teams trying to brawl Team Two to Team One. But, you know, KDCM, I think they've got the strong side of the map here. It's why Frozen is, you know, not always a map you necessarily want to pick, because I feel like Team One is the strong side, and you're giving up the opportunity to play Team One if you pick it. But Reapers feels good about their traders, and I think they're willing to even trade from a weak side versus a strong side against KDCM. Okay, well, Team One has locked. You know, we have 5 minutes for Team Two, but they're looking to lock too.
So kind of looking at the lances here, we see a pretty even split actually, and I think that could determine how both teams are trying to play. Like like you said a little bit, just a little bit more control heavy. Not really KDCM looking to push potentially. We do see Team 2's lock, so we're going to start right now. Interesting though that 2-2 is at 470. That's a little bit under for what I would expect. They're going to launch.
Yeah, I think there's a knee jerk to go, you know, with up to something season. I don't think I ever left match view on the last stream, or left lobby view. But yeah, I'm gonna make sure I'm on the right proper view screen for this. Okay, well, do you want to look at team 1 or team 2 here?
I will look at Team 1 as they come in here.
Okay, I will look at team 2, so, um, do or die time for KDCM. You know, we did see a reverse sweep last week in Mantra versus PCS, but reverse sweeps very hard to pull off. Um, Honestly, it really feels like in these 5 team sets, match 1 is as decisive as it gets. Essentially, those match 1s can build a lot of momentum, and more so than I think a lot of people give it credit for. This is a momentum game. Well,
So we're going to start with KDCM. So they have a Phoenix Hawk 7S, Shadowcat, Mishapeshu. They have the Spider 5K, Stone Rhino 1, Marauder for a very interesting pick with a Laser Mount Marauder. They have the Viper F, again, a Lombo 12C, and they have the Incubus Saber.
big ER large stack on right side for Reapers. They're gonna get up into this right side, sort of high ground, overwatching Theta. We've got 3, Stone Rhino with a bunch of ER large, ER mediums, Stalker, a bunch of ER large XCM, then a bunch of light brawlers. But they're gonna play for Epsi here. I would say this is pretty fairly eerie for 228R to play Epsilon from this side. They can't get Kappa though, so they gotta make a play for Theta because they've scouted it. They realize KDCM's pushed all these mechs to Kappa. Yeah, but this leaves their assaults very vulnerable. KDCM does.
Yeah, I'm not sure about leaving these assaults back here, especially with this Lombo, with this missile Lombo back here. It looks like 228 doesn't quite. I don't think they realize that KDCM's lights are this pushed up though, because they're not really reacting to it. KDCM lights. Teos is taking damage. They know Teos is there at the very least in that spider. He did get caught out. He's down to 90% fair bit of leg damage. I don't know if they're going to catch any 228 mechs, actually. They might actually be aware. We see Jay and Logic Time pushing over with Teos, Stool Softener, and Zelnega, the 5-man light pack. They're going to take Sigma, so they're not even playing the Gauntlet for Theta. But interesting, very interesting. We see on the other side, Snek, Jormungandr, and Call Me Gil are actually counter-pushing in their assaults. That's actually good. I like that because they know that KDCM, or that 228 is going to start sending a bunch of their guys over to cut off these lights. But KDCM needs to be careful with these lights. They don't have much time. They're on a timer. We see Lava Daishi and that Earlord Stalker coming over.
He's over. So these KDCM guys need to start getting the shots that they can get. It's gonna be a 5v5 over here, and one of those 5. Oh, Andy Lard was just lagged.
Andy Lard will get legged. He will get taken out. Teos, of course, is going to trade himself, kind of jumping in there to get that Andy Lard kill. I don't know if that actually was worth it, but that is a 1-for-1 at the very least. We don't often see 1-for-1 trades.
And the KDCM lights are going to attempt to get out.
They will try. They're going to take a bunch of damage doing so, though. Logic Prime getting down to about 80% here. So they get taking a bunch of damage, too.
Is caught for Reapers in the low ground. The KDCM back push is going to catch Yorshka, I think.
Yes, and 228 lights are a little slow on the response. We see Sir Epic Poner a little bit ahead of the rest. I'm not sure what Zelk and Fire Ant are doing. They kind of need to... I guess they realize Yorshka's a lost cause. I'm not sure why Yorshka pushed that far up in that Executioner. I think that's a little bit of a mistake, considering 228 was kind of getting ran off a little bit. So that is another free kill for KDCM. But can they convert the leverage?
KDCM's in low ground. They're in low ground now. That's not an ideal place to be, having all your mechs in low ground, but they're gonna have the 3 cap if they can get Theta and a cap lead.
So we see Jiffy is getting bowled really hard by Zelnega and Stool Softener. He doesn't really support from his lights. I'm not sure what Zelk, Serpent Poner, and Gladiator are doing. Jiffy's just getting absolutely bullied by these lights, and they're kind of getting ruined by the indirect fire from the Lombo. I see the Lombo shooting out a ton of missiles constantly. He's not getting ran down and focused on like last match. Actually, very good stuff. And if they can keep the UAVs, they can keep the spotting. This Lombo's just going to rain absolute havoc on these 228 lights here that are kind of just not really sure what to do.
No narcs, but hey, the Thunderbolts are raining here.
Yes, and we see Serpent Poner taking a lot of damage. He's going to go down very quickly.
I think this one's pretty much lost for 228R here, which is huge for KDCM. Lava Dashi about to go.
So we do see Love It actually getting taken down.
Sudden. Very sudden.
So we do see Fire Ant and Zelk are going to make a decent last stand. They're going to try and trade out. Looks like Logic Prime. Zelk is on Call Me Gil, though. I don't know if he's going to get him. No, Zelk does go down from the crossfire, as does Fire Ant. And that just leaves 2 mechs left for a 2-2-8. KDCM is about to get a 4 cap.
Yeah, I mean, Gladisaur's going to go down here in a second. He's got 7 mechs on him. Poner's about to die. I think what really is happened here, 228 chose the wrong side. KDCM had their assaults isolated on one side and their lights on the other, and 228 chose to push the lights, and that let the assaults come in from the backside, get a lot of damage. You look at, you know, Longbow. Longbow's an indirect fire mech. If you can push up onto those 728 for Longbow, if you can push the assaults, you know, you take out the Stone Rhino that did 612, the Longbow that did 728, you could probably have taken them out faster than the lights, cleaner, and you know, more dangerous mechs end up pushing the lights and getting just dumpstered. KDCM lights got out too. Andy Lard went down 4 TOs, and that, you know, the rest were able to get out at least mostly okay.
Yeah, I think that was really interesting because the Lombo, they didn't have a good answer for the Lombo. I think Yorshka was a little overextended there on Theta. And the other thing, the bigger thing too, is that I think 228's lights were very indecisive. It felt like to me they were very indecisive just watching the spectator view. They weren't able to save Yorshka. They weren't able to save a lot of their assaults. Really, Jiffy got absolutely bullied out by KDCM's lights playing super aggressively. And it just seemed like the combination of the Lombo's pummeling indirect fire and just kind of a lack of aggression from the 228's light sealed their fate there.
Yeah, I mean, once you get into the situation where 228 has the high ground, Yorshka, you know, it's still a winnable match. At that point, I think, but 228R gets really passive, and their lights aren't in the fight, and their lights don't really know where the KDCM lights are. So you're able to get lights just jumping up and bullying um assault mechs, you know, 228 Reaper assault mechs just for, you know, for free, uncontested. Um and able to, you know, KDCM's able to go on the attack even from the low ground, play aggressive, and start picking mechs off. Um and getting UAVs up and getting those indirect fire just missiles just raining down. So really, really strong um comeback win for KDCM. So we will see a match 4. So we're gonna have a little bit of extra time tonight.
So now we can talk about Bear Claw a little bit. We are finally on to Bear Claw, KDCM's map pick. And they do have South Side. So not only did 228 pick the North Side, but it's also KDCM's map pick. Actually very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this obviously in the pregame. Is 228 up? 228 are up to something potentially here, with the map side. Now, you know, there are some things that can be explained through lack of knowledge, or you know, maybe they have or don't have the information that we have when we talk about one side being stronger versus the other. That happens. I don't know if that's what's happening here. We're gonna find that out very quickly. It's very possible that 228R has a specifically designed strategy for the quote unquote weak side. Um, and we'll see what that is, but I'm really interested to see what they've drawn up. It looks like maybe they're gonna go under Tund here. No, shuffling things around. Still shuffling things around. So, do you think KDCM brings the longbow a 3rd time in a row?
I think it'd be a 4 choice on this map. There's a lot of soft cover. There's a lot of vertical cover. A lot of half height buildings, 3/4 height buildings, stuff like that. That would really screw over those Thunderbolts, especially with those indirect arcs.
Yeah, but I didn't ask you if it would be good. I asked, do you think they bring it?
Well, that's what I said, is that I don't believe they will bring it because of those reasons.
I saw what they did on Bear Claw last week. I'm not confident. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's a joke for all my KDCM fans out there. But the really KDCM's an orthodox team. They like to play unorthodox, and I'm curious what they'll come up with for this map. I mean, maybe they just play it very straight, control. They know their angles. Um, from this side, this is the quicker side to Theta. Just play 3 caps and whatever. Um, I'd be curious to see if that's what they try to do. I don't think it probably will be. It's always fun to stream a KDCM match because you really never know what you're gonna get.
So why don't you line up for us a little bit here as we wait for 228 to get ready. Why don't you line up for us a little bit? What do you think 228 might have planned in their back pocket here for this Team 1 side, this worst side of Bear Claw?
So my thing is, when you talk about there's a theory is a strong word. When a lot of times people talk about theory like, oh, this is what everybody like chess, like, oh, this is what's been outlaid and we follow what other people have done. There is a theory that Brawl is better from weak sides. And part of that is you actually, if a side is stronger, teams are more likely to line up standard. And in an area where you don't really need to scout, you kind of know where they're going to be, or you can guess where they're going to be. And you can draw up a lot of angles to attack those power positions. And those quote unquote power positions can end up becoming a weakness based on the attack vectors that you can draw up if a team becomes over reliant on certain positions like the rock, like we're talking about from north side, or is it south side, whatever. But you know what I'm saying, certain power positions, if you become too reliant on those, that can really open you up to brawl pushing because you can draw up some more advanced push structures that don't rely on, hey, everybody follow this and then we just kind of figure it out as we go along and then we push wherever their mechs are. You can push to specified angles, or like practice angles to pre um determined positions. And so I am curious to see if that's what 228R would do. I don't think that's their mindset here, but I really think it could be what they're going for. The other thing is, I mean, maybe they just feel like they want KDCM to trade. That was my gut instinct. Is maybe KDCM is such a brawl team, you feel like you are a better trade team than KDCM, that you'd rather trade from weak side to strong side if it means you'll get a trade match. Then you'd rather do that than receive brawl.
Absolutely, and
So
that's a good point you brought up about power positions being very predictable. Especially when you have these two teams like 228 and KDCM, they're very I especially KDCM is obviously very aggressive, and so
mhm.
I think 228 has the capability to do the same. We saw that the last series they played, so we may see something completely off the cuff because of that. I think these two teams are pretty evenly matched as far as what they're capable of. So that's
Mhm.
a
They've
superb
got
point about
different
those positions.
they have different skill sets in my opinion, but they have I would say they're very similar power rated teams. Obviously the different performance in the Q this year, but Q and top 12 are very different. In Q, you're gonna play like 60+% of your matches on the same map most of the time, and probably another 30% on a second map, and then maybe 10% on a third map. Unless you're purposefully trying to get reps on maps you're weak on, you don't play the 2 maps you're weak on. Where 228R, at least if you're a bubble team, like Vile, DSC, those are teams that are gonna explore all their maps because they know, hey, we need to get these reps for top 12. A team like 228R, they don't necessarily want, if you're on the bubble, you're fighting to get into top 12, the mindset's different. And you got to put yourself in the best position to win every single match. And you don't practice some of those other maps. And so, there is something to say about that as well. That some of these maps, aren't necessarily that repped out.
So real quickly, as this match starts, we're going to see the mechs dropping down. So I'm going to start with KDCM side. That's where my camera is. So we're going to start with the Phoenix Hawk 7S, Flea 19, Bloodasp Rancor, Shadowcat Mishapeshu, Executioner M, Vulcan 5S, Lombo Overcharge, and a Hellfire Void.
So we have got mid-range from 228R. One thing, Hag Kolos from Jiffy. You know, certainly an interesting build. We've seen that a little bit. Beam Shadowcat this time. Pretty good for cap control. Ice Ferret, Osiris 1. Phoenix Hawk 7S from Poner. It's going to be a mid-range Stalker 7D and a mid-range XCM. I do like the Urban Mech. You know, that's one we've seen taken on this map a little bit. I don't know about in top 12. Definitely, I've seen a bit in Q from the matches that I spectated in Q, or, you know, watched in Q, and from some of the scrims that I've played.
So we do, of course, see KDCM on that strong south side taking Theta immediately with no contest from 228. They know they are unable to effectively contest it. We're going to see KDCM shifting left here to the Kappa side. There are two 228 mechs, 228 lights on that Kappa. They might, I don't know. This looks like a pretty fast push from KDCM to try and jump on this Kappa cap. Fire Amp might get caught a little bit here if he's not fast enough to run. It looks like he may be, though. He will be fast enough to run. They're going to cede Kappa to KDCM. Pretty ambitious, I would say. They do have, of course, Jormungandr, the Executioner, Teos, and the Bloodasp, Zonega, Hellfire. They have their bigs, essentially, all kind of in one grid square. Kind of left side, which is really interesting. We do, of course, see 228 is pretty ready. They're pushing Jiffy up to that D7 high rock to scout from. Yorshka, of course, in that mid-range as well as Stalker is pushing into the middle of the map. It's kind of just, he says, she says right now, with KDCM taking back Kappa, 228 is going to have to respond. It looks like they might actually send, if we look at the other side there, Gladisaur and the Shadowcat Mishapeshu. He might be going all the way to Gamma, which is supremely dangerous this early in the match.
Yeah, it is. Now, 228R is doing the pretty standard FC quote-unquote push, you know, where you get the assaults out on the wide side of the map, try to control the lanes. Little bit of damage coming out on Teos' Bloodasp, though.
So we do see Jiffy dropped off his high ground spot. He's pushing towards the middle along with Lava Daishi and Executioner, and of course Yorshka and that Stalker. They're going to be hard pushing for middle, I think. They're going to try and get Theta. I don't think they're going to get it, though. It's just too easy to deny from the side. Andalard is just getting scraped. He's not even taking damage. He's just trying to hide as much as he can. But we can see, looking at the camera here, he's just not going to get it. Theta's just going to stay under their control. And that's how it's going to be. There's just too much denying going on there.
But this Theta play, it's really important. It's not really a Theta play. It's a distraction. They're going to get Gamma on the backside because all of the eyes from 228 are on this Theta. What KDCM doesn't realize, they're losing Sigma.
Yes.
Or 228R, sorry, KDCM's taking Sigma. That's what 228R doesn't realize.
So it's going to be pretty even in caps still. Interestingly, though, 228 does actually get Theta. KDCM stops denying it. Too much pressure was put out on their bigs, onto KDCM's bigs, from 228's bigs, and 228 is going to get Theta. That is something KDCM should not have let happen.
Hey, 2v2. GLaDOS getting jumped. GLaDOS getting jumped by the Phoenix Hawk and the Shadowcat. He's got an Urban Mech buddy in to help, but he took a ton of damage there just for free, and now he's leaving his Urban Mech. No. You have to take a 2v2 here. You can't leave your Urban Mech. The Urban Mech's too slow to get out here. GLaDOS gonna stay in and defend him while the Osiris rotates over, but this is the spot. Jay needs to get out. Jay needs to get out now. They had an advantage, or even numbers here, but now they're getting 4v2, and Jay's really gonna have to run for it because they don't have help anywhere close.
So Zelk taking a big strike there on Gamma. He's gonna drop down pretty low. One of his gun arms, it looks like his right arm is smoking. They are gonna get Gamma though. It's just gonna be a big kind of cap rotation war between these two teams right now. Will KDCM it looks like KDCM is going to come in from the back of Theta and try and play for it, but 228 is set up to deny with the Stalker, with the Phoenix Hawk, with the Executioner. That Executioner is a little bit dangerous there on Theta. I think you should back up a little bit. I think he realizes he's going to get out just a little bit. Of course, caps are again in favor of 228. It's neck and neck though with how much it's swinging. 359 to
But
337.
KDCM about to get caps to swing back, and 228 doesn't have a lot of cap pressure on Kappa right now, or Epsilon. And they're getting Theta is closing in. KDCM is closing in. They got to commit here. Teos taking damage. You got to start getting kills here.
It looks like both sides are starting to commit a little bit. 228 is kind of balled up here on this back runway, but KDM's pushing pretty hard onto Theta with a Lombo with the Phoenix Hawk. Phoenix Hawk's open leg, very notably. That's actually could be a big pick. Teos is getting pretty low in that Bloodass. Orange 66%.
228R is about, or KDCM is about to have a 4 cap. 228R is not suppressing Theta. Jiffy and the Colos in moving up his guns, but ooh, Snack out in the open, getting burnt.
So this is pretty much just a slugfight at this point. 228 realizes they're not winning the cap war.
Oh.
And they're just going to take the fight here.
KDCM didn't cap Theta.
They're doing pretty good on damage. I think KDCM wanted to take the fight as well, though. I think they should have stayed on Theta for like just 2 more seconds perhaps to get that cap. It's just a slugfest at this point.
Yeah.
Jormungandr's, I think, a little overextended, getting shot in the back by Jiffy in that Stone Rhino. Jormungandr's going to go down here very shortly.
He is, but Yorshka's about to go down too. Cord on the stalker.
Snack goes down as well, so Yorshka got 2 of their assaults killed in the back, basically, by Jiffy and Serpek Poner. Stool Softener gets shot in the back.
KDCM, what are you... Oh. This push has devolved. Jay's lagged. Jay's going down. Jiffy in the Colos is really hurt, but KDCM doesn't have a lot more max. Teos goes down. There goes Jiffy, but a lot of healthy 228R max are reasonably healthy. Logic Prime self-destruction.
So it's just going to be the Flea and the Void left for KDCM. They are trying to pull as much as they can. Actually, I think Zelnega's trapped. Zelnega's trapped. They know he's there. They're going to jump on him. But the Flea, Call Me Gil, and that Flea 19 is still alive. He might be able to try and rest something with the caps, because it is, 532 cap to KDCM. So there goes Zelnega in the Void.
I mean, really close, well-fought match. What does KDCM do in there? Because they have a 4 cap if they cap Theta. They don't cap Theta. They give up the back cap because they're pulling their mechs into push. And so they could have had a 3 cap with a cap lead, 4 cap, even potentially if they had left guys to defend their side caps. But, they even had a percentage lead, I felt like, in the lights, where it matters in those cap games, where it actually matters. You have a percentage lead in the lights. Phoenix Hawk was injured, but the Urban Mech was really beat up for 228R, so they're unable to convert the caps. Instead they try to get some kills and back shots, really. Even if you have a percentage lead, back shots kill you. Call Me Gil on Gamma, getting jumped, one-shotted by Andy Lard in the back. Well, it'll be 2-1 in favor of 228R. So 228R answers the bell. They didn't, they got the strong side, or they gave KDCM the strong side, I mean. And they had a plan to play weak side. Jiffy with almost 700 in the Stone Rhino Colos. Yorshka almost 600 in the Stalker 7D. Andy Lard had a really strong match in the Ice Fair. You don't see those 450s a lot for the Ice Fair at J. That's a really strong performance in the lights too. It's epic Poner. Yeah, really good match.
228's lights coming in and showing that the Frozen match was potentially just a fluke with their lack of aggression. Very aggressive on this match. We'd love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, both sides had play. That's really a good match. Both sides had things they wanted to do, had made plays that could have turned the match around. Just at the end of the day, 228 makes a couple more plays down the stretch once the actual big fight starts, is able to get the win. We are gonna go to Terra here, and the side here really does matter. Really does. What do you think about that? I mean, do you really think that Terra is very one-sided or just kind of one-sided?
I would say it's kind of one-sided. I would say it's not even as one-sided as Bear Claw. Looking at the map shot a little bit, we can go over some of that here. So,
So I know a lot of people feel Terra's very one-sided, so I just
traditionally, Theta is kind of Team 1 dominant to an extent. You also have the F6 Volcano, which is traditionally Team 1 dominant, something sort of like that. You sort of have these lanes you can cover with Theta, and it's more comfortable to do so than from Team 2 side. But Team 2 side, as we saw from DSC last week, there are absolutely places you can go to get real cap control. For example, they had a mech all the way back here, basically, denying Gamma with a mech right about here or so. So they had this deny set up on Revenant, and Revenant was unable really to get Gamma for a long time without bleeding a lot of health. So the Theta question is an issue, but of course, I would argue Sigma, Kappa, Gamma can be your 3 cap as Team 2, and you can leave Theta.
well, yeah, I mean, Team 2, you really want Sigma Kappa Gamma. From what I've seen from the top teams this year, I mean, you can call it whatever you want. I know Iron likes to call it Sky Ring. Um, this two power positions that we've drawn up here, the Direwolves, these two power positions, the red ones, really, really strong. And then playing up towards spawn, as you saw with DSC, to deny Gamma. Gamma, you really can't deny fully from the high ground, but you can partially deny it. And you can support max back by spawn. The real rub is obviously being able to cap Sigma. What you will have though is your high ground will be able to support Sigma, and it's going to become very challenging for Team One to cover Sigma, um, or to deny. So really trying to play Kappa game with Sigma from Team Two side. I really think Team Two side would be the dominant. If I had to pick, I think Team Two the dominant side. I think there. I would even say I'm more on very much the dominant side if played perfectly. Um, from both sides, I think if you put two teams of equal skill and both know all of the possible strategies they could pull, I would say it's probably most of the time going to go to team two. Obviously, stuff happens in every match. I wouldn't say it would go to team two all of the time, but um, yeah, I think that team two's more than a slight advantage in my opinion, having played this map a lot.
So, interesting difference in opinion there. I would argue the Team 1 side is a little bit stronger, mainly because of the Volcano. The Volcano can, of course, be contested from Team 2 side, but it is a lot more difficult and a lot more telegraphed. Versus you can run somewhere up just right away and you just see everything that Team 2 theoretically wants to do on that south side, that Gamma side of the map there. And of course, again, it can be contested, but it takes time. It takes only specific mechs can do it, like Shadowcat, Viper. You can't just take any mech and run up there. Meanwhile, it's very easy. Like right off spawn, Team 1 just runs right up and fucking yoinks that. So we do.
So I don't want to tip anything that's not related to my team, like out of respect for other people. But from what I've seen in scrims, the teams that my team likes to play in scrims would be team two dominant teams that would argue the opposite of what you're saying and would favor team two, and that probably colors my opinion. Um, in terms of the teams that I play that play very well on team two versus team one, and so I think there's angles for both sides. And really what's great about world championships, theory is put to the test, right? In every single one of these matches, the theory is going to be put to the test. Whether we kind of figure out in some ways as we go along what side's actually better. You can think one thing coming into the tournament, and by the grand finals, you might think something entirely different. Which is always fun to see as these games go along. And the best teams play each other, and you can start to establish patterns and all of that. It's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of innovation being made throughout the tournament. I mean, a lot of these maps have been played the same way throughout the year, so a lot of opinions people have are based not just in this tournament, but of course throughout the year, and of course since the map has come out, been playing competitive, etc. But that is a fantastic point. There's tons of innovation all the time being made in this World Championship tournament by all these teams.
Right, and anytime you have a map in World Championships, it gets scrutinized way more than it would in any other context. And so a map like Terra hasn't been in the World Championships for several years. This was a different game the last time. I mean, I haven't played when Terra was in the World Championships, so I don't know the last time it was in there. But it's a different game from the last time that this map was being played. Where you look at a map like Canyon or even Hibernal, like some of the mining collective, those maps are very much, we know how it's going to play. Yes, tech changes, but or in terms of like the weapons, and that tweaks things a little bit. Maybe Brawl meta, Brawl's more meta right now, so maybe you tweak some things about the strategy, but we know pretty much how it's going to play. Where a map like Terra, I think there's things that get workshopped a lot more throughout the tournament, put through their paces throughout the tournament.
So, real quickly, as we finish that thought, the mechs are dropping onto the battlefield, so we're going to start with 228's mechs. We have the Osiris 1P, we have the Stone Rhino 1, the Arctic Wolf 1, very interesting. Phoenix Hawk 7X, Executioner C, interesting pick there. Shadowcat Mishipeshu, Locust 3V, and a Direwolf B. What do we have for KDCM?
So KDCM is coming out with a Mad Cat Death Strike, mid-range, kind of large pulse. Next got the Hag and large pulse Maul. XCM from Tios gonna be leading mid-range. Vulcan from J. Spider 5e gonna be obviously cap control. Zelnega and that Hellfire Void. We've seen that from them. Viper F, pretty standard. Mishipeshu, pretty standard. I don't like the Mishipeshu for this map. I just simply think it's hot. And I love the Pop-Tarts, but I think there's better configurations for the Shadowcat for Terra. I might be in the minority there, but Terra's a map that gets hot. And sometimes you have to stand in lava. And even when you don't, it's good to have something that can heat sink. What's more noticeable or notable is, it's hard to tell. 228 still walk into their starting lines. They might not be playing Skyring here. We'll see what Yorshka chooses to do. But it looks like he hasn't chosen to try to jump jet up onto the big rock.
I would say they're certainly going to be playing Kappa heavy because we see Jiffy in the Stone Rhino and Lava Daishi in the Direwolf. Those two very immobile anchor sort of assaults. You don't want to be moving them much, and so the fact that they're kind of moving them almost like halfway across the map indicates to me they're definitely going to be taking Kappa. But of course, KDCM, not really. I don't think they've done that much scouting, but of course, Epsi is free, and they see Epsi is free. So they are. So yeah, just going to be switching caps here.
Which now you got to get towards Gamma. What I'm curious here is if this, this is a Kappa heavy setup from 228R. I'm wondering if this is a Theta play. You have this sort of power positions we talked about for the DSC match. That's not where 228R is going. I mean, maybe the Direwolf's leaking out to the backside, but the Stone Rider certainly is looking to play low ground. And if you're talking about low ground, as KDCM looks for the 4 cap on Sigma, ooh, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. I don't know if they have coverage though. But they're gonna get. Oh no, KDCM's overexposed.
Call McGill is to be very careful here, as does Soul Softener. There's majority 228 presence on this side of the map. Call McGill needs to start running right now. He is running.
Start running 10 seconds ago. KDCM needs to push this.
Soul Softener's kind of getting caught out. Not taking a lot of damage yet. Call McGill is just going to get run down by this Endelvarn and the Osiris because the Osiris is the same speed as the Spider pretty much.
They've corralled them too. Is Gil lagged?
Yeah, Gil's
lagged. Dual Softener's gonna get got too.
Dual Softener's lagged as well. That's 2 of KDCM's lights getting absolutely caught out. They stayed way too long around Sigma, considering that was 228's side of the map. I don't think they had enough scouting. I don't think they even realized like 228 was kind of heavy over here.
Even if they did, I mean, Dual Softener needs to get out there. It's okay to lose the Spider. Like, if you can't get out, you can't stick around and lose the Viper too, because you're trying to protect. It was lost.
So now,
There already.
KDCM is in a really
Zorsh
awkward
just-
position with their bigs. They're
Hammer.
basically coming off of Theta in this little choke point there towards Sigma. They're all trying to peek the same angle. They're taking a lot of damage for it. They realize it's not going to work out. They're pulling out, which is good. 228 is also
That's
going to
'cause
pull
they're
the other
losing
way,
Theta.
too.
They're losing Theta. 228 are commanding cap lead here. Gonna tick up Sigma, and KDCM doesn't have a lot of pressure. They gotta try to get Gamma or something, but with down 2 lights, it's hard. R still has 5 mechs though towards the Sigma side, so KDCM is gonna be able to flip back Gamma for free here with the cap lead. No pressure on Gamma. KDCM still has fresh XEM, fresh Hellfire Void, got some other mechs. This game's getting quite advanced on caps.
So when
Already.
KDCM takes Gamma, of course, 228 is going to have to respond. I imagine they're going to push through the behind of Theta, because that's kind of where the mechs are clustered right now. It's just super awkward, of course, because that Direwolf, they have that Stone Rhino, very slow to rotate mechs that they want to anchor around.
Here's my contention for Team 2 dominance. Or Team 1 dominance. That if you're gonna play this high ground, which Gladisaur now has taken. For some reason I thought this was Team whatever side it is. If you're gonna play the Kappa heavy side, if you're gonna play heavy on Kappa, it's hard to take Gamma back. If you lose Gamma, it's hard to take Gamma back. What 228R can do is get Epsilon here. They can try, but Poner's out on a limb. Logic can't give it up though. You just know that. But his legs are cooked, beat up. Poner's legs are taking damage too.
I think 228's playing too non-committal with their DACA assaults. I think they need to just send those DACA assaults into the middle as the caps start to get, in KDCM's favor here, it's starting to get to 500.
Oh, no. The Viper is gonna cap Sigma because KDCM or 228R abandoned it. He doesn't know it yet, but there's nothing that can stop him really besides. Oh no, the Mr. Pressure can't. The Mr. Pressure has him dialed. Never mind. He's not close to him on the map, but because he's got the beams, he can dial him up from the high ground. But still, that Viper's lying in wait to potentially cap that point.
We do see 228 realizing with the DACA assaults there, they are starting to move towards middle, but of course it's very slow.
Gamma. It's coming Gamma for 228R. But there goes Epsilon. KDCM left Epsilon. They knew there was a mech there. That is so irresponsible. Logic Prime probably wasn't a fight he could win, but you're not winning a fight here. KDCM simply just wasn't going to have the mechs to win a fight. You had to try to be sticky on these caps. Now they give up the 4 cap.
The 228 is swinging. Teos is a little bit overextended, trying to get a bunch of damage into Jiffy. He didn't have enough forward scouting at all, and the rest of his assaults basically completely fell back, so it was literally just Teos. Teos is going to be a free kill here for 228. He does trade at least for Zelk, though,
down.
which is good.
I don't even know how he killed Zelk. Did Zelk blow himself up? I mean, which one was Zelk? I don't.
Zelk was the Arctic Wolf.
Looked like he was shooting a different mech. While KDCM's cap lead is going away, but they have the opportunity to back cap Epsilon and win the game. If they can just be sticky on Theta, which I don't know if they can be, but Jay's gonna try to be. The Void Zelnega.
is getting absolutely neck and neck right now. The bigs for 228 are threatening to overrun the remainder of KDCM's bigs right now, but KDCM's playing a great hold, about to get on that 3 cap, 651 to 655. The caps are absolutely neck and neck right now. So Yorshka does go down.
Blows up. Yorshka blows up, and Jiffy cannot stand on that theta cap.
So Zanega's going to try and just buy time. He's just going to buy time on that 3 cap, just deny theta. That's actually super smart. That's a great play from Zelnega.
Oh, and Jiffy might be about to go down, too.
Zelnega does go down. Just a couple extra seconds on theta.
Flipped, but it's not enough. It's not...
And of course, 228's going to get Epsi too. So that's going to be...
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
But really well fought from KDCM. But 228R, that's 3-1 for 228R, and KDCM finds themselves out of the tournament.
Well played to both teams. Great set, great match. I honestly, the spider kill, it kind of cost them pretty dearly with the way they ended up playing that match. But more important than the spider, as you mentioned earlier, you can lose the spider, but the Viper is an asset you can't really afford to lose.
The Viper ended up coming in pretty clutch down the stretch because he was lagged. He ended up standing on that cap point, and they was able to flip it once the Shadow Cat got distracted. The critical thing was they gave up their back cap to a Phoenix Hawk that they knew was there. KDCM did. Losing by just a few ticks. You know, if you have that Phoenix Hawk, if you don't have that Phoenix Hawk, cap that point, maybe you are able to eke that out on ticks on theta.
So that is the last series of the night concluded. Well played to both teams. KDCM is eliminated from the tournament. I believe 8th place? I might be mistaken there. 7th place, 8th place?
So 12th place is Focus. Strat will finish in 11th. KDCM, were they behind 1FR? Yes. So 1FR will finish in 9th, and KDCM will finish 10th.
All right. 228 moves on in the loser bracket, and that will be it for the night.
Well, you know, 228 are a slight favorite in this match. You know, you think close game. You know, I think this was about as close as the people wanted. Yes, 3-1. We didn't get the 3-2, but really close. Couple of drops in there could have gone KDCM's way, and maybe we end up getting a drop 5. No drop 5s this week. But going forward, you know, this is the first couple rounds done. Now we start to get to, hey, the winner's bracket. We'll see what happens in the winner's bracket next week. I believe we play Vile, which is the team Bowser's on. So, hey, you know, I'll save my predictions for that one for another day. But Mantra plays Dark Sea Corsairs. And then 10th Lirin plays Potato Carry. Really, I think the real interesting match, though, will be the nightcap next week again with Blanar between 228 Reapers.
Absolutely. Those are pretty closely matched teams in skill, in my opinion. And obviously, a lot of those people are friends with each other. So that'll be a really fun match to watch and cast.
I think 10th Lirin versus Potato Carry could be end up being kind of sneaky good. Potato Carry had the loss to Mantra, which, you know, they get reverse sweep there. You don't love that, but they had a very strong performance today. We kind of know what 10th Lirin is. Do we kind of know what 10th Lirin is? I mean, they look good in Q, really good. Or they start slow, but end up looking really good in Q. And then they get just destroyed by DSC. In that first set of matches. So we're still kind of trying to figure out what 10th Lirin is. You know, they lost in invitationals to Mantra and Fjord, and now they're playing better now, but PCS might have a trick up their sleeve. We'll see what Mantra ends up being. They got the close win against PCS. I think Dark Sea Corsairs, that's an uphill battle. you know, Visigoths obviously against Vile. And that's one that, you know, they got prediction. They'll have predictions out. I don't think many people are picking the higher seeded teams, ironically, but who knows? Should be a fun weekend.
Absolutely.
After that, it'll be winners bracket final, the 20th. Actually, there'll be a bye week and then winners bracket final, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. Actually, no, there's not a bye week. I'm crazy. That's only 8 days. But a lot to look forward to as we continue in this CS 2024. For the 4 teams eliminated, you know, good season today, or good season. Obviously, tough way to end for 1FR, Focus, Rangers, or Sky Ranger Jaegers, and KDCM. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun streaming these games, and I've had a lot of fun watching them. I don't have anything more to add on this one or on next week's matches. I'm sure, um, you know, it'll be a lot of fun next week, but you guys can have to watch me next week. I don't know if I'll be able to cast. Hope we have good turnout though.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Well, with that, I'm gonna wrap up my stream. Do you have anything else to add, Bowser?
Absolutely not. I will call it here as well.
Good stream. I had a great time. Good match.
Well played to both teams. Thank you everybody for watching this last match of the night. As Brevin said, tune in next week for the continuing series, and that will be all from us. Have a good one, everybody.